All right, starting off with the disclaimer. Um, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing in this video is financial advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any financial product. All content is for informational purposes only, based on personal opinions and experiences. Trading futures, options, and other financial instruments involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for every investor. You can lose more than your initial investment, so always do your own research and consult with a licensed professional. What's up, everybody? It's 8:05 in the morning. But I'm doing my end of day video now because I forgot to do it last night. Um, it will be structured a bit differently. It's probably gonna be shorter today because um, I paused my recording during the day for some reason, and so I forgot to unpause it, and so I think I got this portion of this trade, and then I paused the rest, and I missed this second trade. But anyway, so let me pull up my plans quickly. So here's the plan today. So if you remember in my plans, we had we were in a tiny gap, which did end up happening. We did open in a small gap lower that was closed like within like 30 seconds, so it wasn't significant. I only go over the stuff like if you remember what I said yesterday. I remember talking about overnight VPOC again because it was clustered in this area in Settle, but um, I guess normal trade I take is an impulse away from VPOC that st- stays above or below it off the open. And so what ended up happening was you brought this blue bar is VPOC, overnight VPOC. You brought VPOC down here, which didn't happen while I was doing my plans, but then the same thing persists. Like this impulse, pull back, hold for the continuation, and we were bearish-ish in terms of bias, but this area up here where settle was key to test and key for the short idea, so I wasn't unwilling to trade that. I wasn't off longs, kind of thing. I was willing to take that rotation up if it's set up to then potentially continue lower or continue higher. So I go through that because that's basically what we got. Like I said, overnight VPOC was brought down here. And so right off the open, you impulsed away from overnight VPOC and you pull back. And right here, I tried to get on right here, but I didn't get filled. As you can see, there wasn't a good price action setup, but I saw this rounded bottom start to form, and so in somewhere around here I tried to get on. I think this shallow red bar I tried to get on for 17, and I just didn't get filled, and I removed my order, and then you had come down to touch 17 exactly, but that's all right. Yeah, but then you continued higher, so then this trade, um this first trade I took, you had come down, you held RTH VWAP again, and you impulsed higher, breaking above full session VWAP. So you broke above full session VWAP, and it was just around 10 a.m. So I was looking for the continuation as well for the IB break, which is a stat we have, right? So there was a really poor looking zipper break here, but it was good enough for me to get on. If you look, if you take out this, you had a bit of a zipper and then it broke, only by like 2 ticks or 1 tick or something, but it broke. So this next red bar is where I got on, and it instantly kind of fell below and triple tapped this rotational low. And so, it wasn't pretty. At least it wasn't an error or anything, but it wasn't pretty. And then yeah, I ended up getting these 2 contracts off, and eventually we couldn't extend to settle. I had my runner at settle, or no, settle. This is today's settle. Settle was like right up here, like right around the singles, I think. But we didn't end up getting it, and it fell lower, and I got stopped out for another small profit trade. Uh, one sec. Sorry about that. So, second trade. This was a full stop. This was the first full stop this week. And the idea was basically the exact same as this trade. It was just after the IB break. So you had a decent break of IB, more than enough to consider it a range extension. And so after the IB pull back to DGPs, that the idea was the DGPs hold and then you continue higher for settle again. Which ended up being the case. I was just too early. I was too early and it wasn't a good entry, but I'll explain why. So the entry I was looking at is you had come down, you continued to hold RTHV up, which was the clear lean, right? Like that's what you were holding above the whole morning session. And so then you had this sell collision here that broke higher and broke above this prior zipper right here. And so the idea was, like, for me, this is in between these two lines here is a VWAP sandwich, and I usually will not engage in a VWAP sandwich unless I can get 2 contracts off before the break, right? So if I get my epic pen out, so like if I can get, of course, sorry about that. So if I can get 2 contracts off ahead of the VWAP break, so if I can enter here, have 1 take profit here, and then 1 take profit here, and then the runner above up here or something, I'd take that trade and I'd enter in the VWAP sandwich. But in this case, it was too tight unless I had literally gotten on at RTH VWAP for me to get 2 contracts off. And so, but the trade was still valid, right? So my idea was you broke above here and you broke this prior structure, so you pull back in. This time you hold full session VWAP, which had also been getting respect once we broke above it. To then continue higher for settle. And so ultimately it was wrong, and I took the full stop on it, which is fine. It was structurally valid, just like I was sort of describing the nuances, kind of, it made the entry not great, and I was probably a bit too early. But yeah, structurally it was, or contextually, it was still a good trade. And so you ended up sort of chopping around here for a while, and then you poked lower, which this was RTH mid. RTH mid, and then you got a nice zipper break here where you could have entered on this red bar for the continuation. Again, I didn't take that trade because, one, again, with the VWAPs, you'd have to go through the VWAPs for me to get my risk off in my second or my first target. So I didn't want to, go through the troubles of having to worry about that. And then at the same time, I had, they were slightly different, but I already gave it 2 attempts, so I was fine leaving it at that. It's Friday and, blah, 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 right? All the other stuff. So those were the trades. I will get the video out and at least show you what I can, but that's why I went through them in more detail here because I don't have the video. And the P&L was negative $19. It was $19, so it was plus 8 ticks, plus 14 ticks, minus 8 ticks, so I was plus 14 on this trade, and then minus 33 on this trade, which gives you 19, negative 19. So it was the only negative day this week, and it was, one meal, one McDonald's combo or something, so not the end of the world. I guess I probably will start showing my P&L at some point, or I'll just calculate it like that quickly and show all the different because I mean people like to see that stuff. And so yeah, like this week to this day I was down. Like all week I had it was pretty slim pickings in terms of opportunity, but I was, up most days this week, and I was up across the week if you include the whole week. But today was a day where I was down. I lost money today. So I thought I'd just share, so I'm being transparent. And yeah, so like I said, I'll go to the video and just show you what I can. Okay, so this is the open of yesterday's session. As you can see, it's just about 9 a.m. So it was a bit later. So you can see on this pullback, I did try to get on this trade once you got that rounded bottom. So there you get this break. Boom, break. I put my order at 17. Didn't get filled, and then I got rid of my order once you came across. But after this thing spills lower, comes down and touches 17 exactly on that bar, which probably may have filled me. We don't know, but worth noting, sometimes, watch the trade, and when you have an order in, manage it. Like, if the context of the trade idea is invalidated by that push higher, then yeah, it was the right thing to get rid of it. If it's not, though, feel free to trade it, kind of thing. So we continue higher. You're coming close to 10 a.m., which is where I took the trade. So boom, clean impulse away from VWAP. You start to zipper. Boom, zipper break. I put my order. I got filled really quick, and then didn't really take a heat, but that triple low at the low there is not convincing at all for like it to hold, at least, right? And so at this point I was already like, yeah, this could go either way, but eventually you got the break, and I got one, and then I got two, and I got stopped on settle, like you saw. So that's the end. I think I paused it to take a screenshot, so like my files weren't in this video. So then when I go through it, like I'm doing now, I don't have my files in the video, so I don't have to worry about cutting through it. But I just paused it and forgot to unpause it. So I'll remember not to do that in the future. But yeah, and then shortly after I took that other trade, which I took the full stop on, and that was it for the day. So that's pretty much it. I don't see the point in going through anything else, really. As you can see, we just continued higher into the end of the day. You were able to pop prior day's high, so you got that stat by one tick. But ultimately, you were still in this area. You didn't do anything crazy new, so yeah. That's it for the day, and it's Saturday now, so I will be back on Monday, and Monday I actually am planning to go live. All these trades that I've showed you across this week have been on Sim, so I'm planning to go live on Monday, potentially Tuesday. And so yeah, exciting week, and we'll see how that goes. This is the first time I'm going live again since about June, like mid-June, June 2024. So almost a full year I was on Sim trying to figure everything out. So yeah, exciting, and I'll do everything the same as I'm doing it now next week, and yeah, the trades will just be live if I have any trades. Who knows what the week's gonna be like. So yeah, I'll be back Monday for my prep video, and potentially the end of day later in the day on Monday. So see you then.